Back in 2017, Joseph Manola at the blog Against the Wicked City wrote a really cool article called Scenario Building from Cliche to Complexity. In this article, he talks about how to take very standard cliche D&D tropes, like protecting a caravan on the road, or go find an evil cultist in a nearby ruin, or help save the idiot son of the innkeeper who got lost in the nearby woods, and combining these cliche D&D tropes together into a much richer tapestry for the adventures that we run for our players. As an example, you might have a local village that needs protection from bandits who have been attacking their nearby highway, but it might turn out that a group of goblins has also been attacking groups on the highway, and that the bandits and the goblins are actually fighting against each other as much as they're fighting against the villagers and those protecting the caravans. It might turn out that a local group of cultists is also trying to summon a demon in a nearby ruin, and they've been transferring their goods along this same highway, some of which has gotten stolen. And the goblins and the kobolds would certainly be against the cultists as much as the adventurers would be if they found out. So this builds multiple factions, multiple groups, all with their own motivations, lots of different things going on in lots of different places that our adventurers can get caught up in. Now, I'm a huge fan of random tables. Random tables on their own aren't actually particularly useful, but random tables as fuel for our imagination are really powerful tools. We can come up with ideas and scenarios far beyond what we might be able to come with if we're just thinking about it. Random tables help shake us out of our groove, help break the cliche, and help us come up with some really interesting things. One of the ways that we can get to what Joseph Manola is talking about in his blog article is by rolling multiple times on our random tables to come up with a series of different quests that might be going on at once, or a series of different situations with different factions that are going on at once. In my book, The Lazy DM's Companion, I offer lots of different tables that you can roll on for all different kinds of scenarios. And I believe firmly not only in using these random tables to help fuel your imagination and your creativity for your game, but also to roll on multiple tables and roll on some of the tables multiple times to come up with really interesting ideas. And this gets right into the line of coming up with new ideas that had never been thought of and really rich tapestries for adventure that go far beyond the typical cliche quests that we think of, even if underneath many of these ideas are those typical cliche quests that we think of all the time. I have 2 previous videos where I used the Lazy DM's Companion to build an entire adventure from scratch. Today, I thought we'd take a look at a couple of pages from the sample pages of the Lazy DM's Companion. These are pages that you can get for free. You can download the PDF in the links below, and we can build some of these complex scenarios right now. So over on the left, I have page 12 and 13 from the sample chapters of the Lazy DM's Companion. In the lower right, I have a Notion notebook where I'm just going to jot down the ideas as we're generating them. So I have my dice box and a couple of D20s, and we're going to start rolling on the table and see what we come up with. Now, that quest table is really the main table that we're going to use today. They're all pretty standard D&D fare: finding an item, killing a villain, rescuing an NPC, burying a secret, opening a gate, and so on. But when we roll on it multiple times, we come up with a few different interesting things. So in this scenario, we're going to just kind of roll twice and see what 2 quests we end up coming up with. So the first one that I rolled was a 10 and a 19. Close a gate and discover a monument. So I'm actually going to flip these 2 because it makes more sense that you would discover a monument first and then have to close a gate. So we have discover a monument and close a gate. Let's try a couple more. I have a 9 and a 13. Return an item and disable an artifact. Already I'm getting ideas in my head. You might have some ideas that pop right into your head as soon as you read some of these. So they're pretty great fuel for adventure ideas. I have a 5 and an 18. Clear out monsters and bury a secret. That's pretty interesting. So one of the things that we can do using the rest of this table is fill it out with what is the monument, where are the locations, what kind of things are going on, who created it. And these 2 sets of tables on the right-hand side, the location, monument, and item tables, and the condition, description, and origin tables, these are the real powerhouse of this set. You can generate lots and lots of interesting ideas with just these tables. So let's fill out a couple of these adventure ideas using those tables. For discover a monument, some of our questions are, well, where is this monument? So let's think up a location here. It is located in a castle. Discover a monument in a castle. What kind of castle is this? So we're going to roll 3 times on the condition, description, and origin table. It is a 12. Shadowed undead castle. That's an 18. An archway. Discover an archway. What's interesting about this archway? It is a frozen archway. It is a frozen, forsaken archway. We have to discover it and we have to close it. So that's pretty interesting. That's not exactly completely outside of any adventure that you'd have in D&D, but still, I already like it, right? It already fits as kind of an interesting D&D adventure. How about the return an item and disable an artifact? Well, what kind of item do we have to return? We'll start with an origin. It is a orcish item. What kind of item is it? It is an orcish key. Return an orcish key to the, and let's come up with a location, to the cove. There's a cove. That's interesting. What kind of cove? A crystalline cove. A crystalline sunken cove. And disable an artifact. What is this artifact? We're going to go with a monument here. I'm going to roll on the monument table. A 3, an orb, and disable an orb. What kind of orb? It is a diseased orb, a diseased, festering orb. So already, again, we kind of filled out a few pieces here. We have to return an orcish key to the crystalline sunken cove and disable a diseased, festering orb. Obviously, we're going to use this as like a seed, and we're going to fill in a lot more details as we go. But already, I've got some pretty good thoughts about what we want to do with that idea. So now we have clear out monsters and bury a secret. So what kind of monsters are we going to clear out exactly? We're going to clear out 15 fiendish monsters. Clear out fiendish monsters. Okay. And what location are we doing this in? 18, a sanctum. Clear out fiendish monsters from a sanctum. What kind of sanctum? It is a 16 and 8. It is a windswept macabre sanctum. And bury a secret. What? We have to bury a secret there. Perhaps that secret is an item that we have to bury. An item, cursed item that needs to be left in this windswept macabre sanctum. 13, a brooch. What's wrong with this brooch? What curse does it have? It is 4, burning brooch. A burning, unholy brooch. Maybe that's the only place where it can be left that will get rid of it. So we have to go down there, clear out the fiends, get down into this macabre sanctum, and bury the secret burning unholy brooch to solve this quest. So one other thing we can do is we can add rivals to our quest using the same thing. So think about these 3 locations. Let's start with the first one, the frozen, forsaken archway in a shadowed undead castle that we're trying to close a gate. Well, who else is there? So in this case, we can use the patron and NPC table to come up with some rivals. So we're going to start with, we roll a 10. Suspicious construct. There is a suspicious construct there. So let's add that. What is that construct trying to do? And maybe we'll give it a condition, because we can. 10, a lightning construct. A suspicious lightning construct is there. And what does it want? What is it trying to do? We can roll on the quest table again. We get a 10. It is trying to close the gate. So are we. You know, we could, of course, switch that and say that its job is to keep the gate open and it protects it. That's pretty standard. So the boss fight would be a suspicious lightning construct. Since it's a construct, what if it's actually being run by somebody else? We can roll again on the origin table and see who constructed it. Unseelie Fae, right? Maybe you can ally with them. Maybe they don't trust you because they're suspicious, right? So we can sort of mix and match, right? Now you see that we've got sort of, frozen, forsaken archway. We have to discover it, find it in this shadowed undead castle, and then end up closing it. But we also have some Unseelie Fae and some suspicious Unseelie Fae and their lightning construct are also trying to close the gate, right? And we just sort of change the quest around that we rolled, and we come up with some interesting thoughts about how to build sort of richer adventures. So I think this idea of taking random tables, rolling on them, mixing and matching, mashing together multiple quests, mashing together multiple ideas into one sort of adventure scenario gets back to what Joseph was talking about in that blog article. Ways to sort of mash together a lot of different ideas that might on their own be pretty stereotypical D&D adventures. But when mashed up together and when a lot of detail are added to them, we can come up with some really interesting ideas. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can help me out by subscribing to the Sly Flourish newsletter, subscribing to my videos here on YouTube, supporting me directly on Patreon, or picking up any of my books, including this one, The Lazy DM's Companion. Thank you very much and have a great day.